Hi everyone, it is Kate Zukis and welcome to my video for today. Today I want to talk you through my own personal yoga story and my yoga journey and why I focus on yoga and mindfulness so much and why I teach about it now. So I have been teaching, and I can't believe it has almost been this long since I've been teaching it, but for almost 10 years now. So in 2012, I decided to join a yoga teaching course. I saw the course pretty much out of nowhere. It kind of almost landed in my lap. And from that moment, I saw it and, it was very little thinking that I had to do. And I decided, I'm going to become a yoga teacher. I'm going to do this course, and that's what my path's going to be from now on. So, I had a lot of people saying to me at the time, but Kate, you've really got to like yoga to be able to be a yoga teacher. And I was adamant, for those that know me, the moment you kind of say, are you sure you really want to do this? I'm like, yep, absolutely sure. This is where I want to take my life. This is what I want to learn about. And prior to me doing this course, I'd gone through a series of events that really, kind of questioned kind of who I was. Went through a series of relationships that didn't work out. And so I was at the point where I also wanted to heal, to grow, to understand who I was a little bit better, and to be really kind of comfortable with who I am so that I can move forward and I can grow and can continue growing, and also so that I could meet the person that I was going to be with and wanted to be with as well. So there was, a little bit of a backstory to it, but I just want to bring that up because it also shows that, as I was going into my yoga journey, I was very open-minded, and I was there to learn, and I was there to grow and to heal as well. And these are just some of the benefits that yoga and mindfulness can do for everyone. They're not just me. And everyone that's a yoga teacher that I know has their own story as to why they were drawn to being a yoga teacher and to this path in life as well. And nearly any spiritual person I know have always got their hero's journey story themselves. So in 2012, decided to become a yoga teacher, and I spent 6 months studying with a great group of people to become a yoga teacher. Over that time, I was also very adamant that this was going to be time that I was going to spend just by myself. So I was not going to see anyone over this time. I was just investing this time in me, and it was all about me. And that was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, to be able to spend that time nourishing myself, looking after myself, growing, fixing a lot of things that, changing the way I thought about things as well, and being a lot more open-minded, a lot more grounded. I've always been very, very headstrong, very, results-oriented, always wanted the next thing in life, etc. But this, being a yoga teacher and focusing on mindfulness so much and being present, really did ground me. And I do find that for my own personal type of energy, the grounding that I get from yoga and mindfulness just makes me so much more productive as well. So for me, it's truly been a gift from that perspective. So that was kind of the 6 months that I spent being a yoga teacher and doing that. Towards the end of that 6 months, I did meet my husband. But I did not start dating him until after I graduated as a yoga teacher, because that was, as I said before, that commitment that I made to myself. And it did just show. I was literally glowing as I was finishing this course. And I think, like attracts like from an energy perspective. And, 3 months later, I was engaged. So for me, going from where I was 12 months before, in a very bad state from a relationship perspective, to fast forwarding 12 months after I'd become a yoga teacher as well, and how I'd really spent that time investing in myself, to being engaged, to the person I want to be with for the rest of my life is, it was just amazing. And I do use this as an example to a lot of people who are not sure about what decisions they should be making, etc. It's like when you're on the right path and when you're doing the right thing for you, things can happen very, 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 very quickly. Time doesn't matter. Time really, really, really doesn't matter. And you never know what lies ahead either. So make sure that you are focusing on yourself and that you are present and put out there what you want in life and work towards it, because like attracts like. And once you put it out there, you will, kind of get it back as well. So that's kind of one of my biggest lessons that I had from there, taking that time to invest in myself, taking that time to invest in my own inner work. And, I've been doing this now for as I said, for almost 10 years now, which is amazing. So I do want to talk to you a little bit about just some of the outcomes that I've seen personally from being a yoga teacher and from focusing on mindfulness. And this is from my own practice. And my own practice has changed a lot. I've got 2 kids now. I work in the corporate world, so it's not all about getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and doing, yoga poses all morning, and doing all of that kind of the traditional kind of, yoga practices that some may think of when you think of yoga. Like for me, when I was, had 2 little kids, there was very little yoga practice that I actually did, when it came to doing the actual yoga poses. It was all about trying to do breath work, trying to do meditation whenever I could, just trying to be grounded and calm and mindful. And that can be really hard when you've got little kids as well. So, as I say, I've been a yoga teacher. It has my practice has morphed and changed over time as well. Right now it is a lot more of a structured practice. I am doing a lot more of, my own yoga poses and my own classes. I'm doing a regular meditation every night, and I'm setting intentions and getting into a morning practice where I'm actually just taking conscious breaths every morning so that I can just be present. So these are all part of yoga. So this is why one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video is yoga isn't just about what you do in a yoga class or what you do on the mat. It is so much more. And I think there's a quote that I've got here that yoga isn't just about touching your toes. It's about what you learn on the way down. And that is probably sums up my yoga experience. I thought I was going to become a yoga teacher because I was just going to teach poses to people, and that was it. That was kind of, what I thought before I even started my yoga journey. And then afterwards I was like, wow, like there is such power in this. And, there is just such power from being present, such power from knowing your own self-worth, from being aware, from being focused, from setting boundaries. Some of these things that we're really bad at is setting boundaries. How you become aware of your own energy and where you place your energy. All of this stuff is what I've learned through, kind of on and off the mat from doing my yoga practices and yoga and learning about yoga as well as teaching yoga over the last few years. So that's why I'm kind of very passionate about teaching it and very passionate about sharing why I became a yoga teacher and what I've learned from it. There is a huge link, and for those that don't know, the term yoga, the word itself actually means union. So it is around the union of the mind, the body, the breath, the energy, your emotions. It's all encompassing. So when we talk about yoga, we are talking about union and the union of all of us and our whole selves. We are beings that are made up of multiple layers, and as we grow, we need to make sure that we're looking after all of those layers of ourselves, which is why I focus so much on the mind, body, and energy connection, and why I'm so passionate about it. So I thought, there's a couple I do want to just dig into quickly. I'm conscious of time, but there's a few that I do want to touch on where I have had the biggest impact, and hope that I can also share these with you so that you can take some of these benefits away from you as well. So the increased awareness that yoga has brought me. So there's 2 sides to this. There's obviously the internal side where you become a lot more focused on your internal world and your internal needs, and, you know, and just taking, you know, kind of all that stuff that's happening outside of you away, and all of that noise, because we are surrounded by so much noise, but just sifting out all of that and just focusing on yourself, and just focusing on that internal world and that internal dialogue that you have. So that's kind of, there's that internal focus where I've had a huge benefit, and then also being able to listen to that internal dialogue and being able to listen and be led by my own intuition, that when you are there in stillness and you are aware of your own inner world, that you are able to be a lot more present and in tune with your own intuition as well. And where, you know, you just kind of, and sometimes our thoughts can just run away with us. So it's about actually how do we manage our mind so that our mind doesn't manage us as well. So that's the kind of the internal part of awareness. The other part is around the external and being aware. And this is where I found, especially through work, being more aware of my external environment. You know, if you're dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, just increased awareness really makes you able to observe rather than absorb, and absorb other people's energy as well. So that increased awareness, just being able to just be aware of things that are going on around you. We don't have to react to everything. So before my yoga journey started, I was probably reacting a lot more, whereas now I do step back a bit. I observe. I obviously react when I need to, or, you know, but it's a lot more of a observation, and, you know, in kind of bouncing off that idea as well. The other big thing that I've learned from yoga is non-judgment, you know, looking at yourself with non-judgment as well. What, you know, so making sure that you're not constantly judging and being critical of yourself. Like those thoughts, you know, have power that you say to yourself. So just making sure that you are being kind to yourself and looking at yourself with self-kindness rather than judgment, and curiosity rather than judgment. So, and I take this into my work as well, and when I'm dealing with people, try to be non-judgmental with them, but at the same time, you know, be curious and ask those questions. So rather than jumping to conclusions, be curious about it. So that's where I found non-judgment has been just, you know, so helpful to my mental health, as well as to just my overall being. So that is one of the biggest ones, when you almost give yourself permission not to judge everything, and you just, like, it's almost, you feel a weight being taken off your shoulder as well. So awareness and non-judgment are two big things that I've learned from yoga. So other things that I have learned, and I've mentioned it before, but it is so important, I'm going to mention it again, how to treat yourself and your self-worth. So you are worthy. You know, so every one of us is worthy. Every one of us is unique. I find that my yoga path just brings out and celebrates my uniqueness and makes me so comfortable with who I am. And being able to kind of set boundaries around that as well, and knowing kind of just that worth. So I think that's something really, really important, and being just kind to yourself and just making sure that you are doing things that are not pleasing everyone else, and you're the one that's, you know, kind of sacrificing everything, but making sure that you are the one that's actually feeding your soul at the same time, because you are worth it and you deserve it, and no one else has to live in your mind or body except you. So that was kind of one of the big pieces of takeaways that I had from my yoga journey. So the role, I've touched on this as well, but the role of energy. So, you know, I talk a lot about energy. So energy is just so huge. And I didn't, you know, and for me, it's really probably been the last 10 years, which I've really focused and understood the power of energy. So our energy is like a currency. So there's, again, a few different components when I talk about energy. But if we're talking about just that, the energy that we have around us, and, you know, energy around our bodies, you know, it's just so important for us to be able to use our energy wisely. As I mentioned before, if you're not aware of others around you, and, you know, you could be absorbing all of their energy as well, and then you're exhausted. You know, and so, and then you wonder why you're so tired and you're emotionally, physically, mentally, you know, exhausted. It's because you've been absorbing so many other energies and trying to fix everyone else around you as well. So, you know, and I know this because it's something I do as well, and I've got to be so conscious of it. And so energy that is so important. So once you're actually aware of energy, you're so aware of how powerful energy can be. You then also become very careful about how you choose to spend your energy. And I think for me, this is, I just don't put myself in situations I don't want to be in. I try to avoid things. I like to spend a lot of time by myself to kind of, recharge my own energy and to cleanse my energy before I, kind of go out and exert a lot more energy again. So, that whole energy piece is so important. So that's kind of important from that, how you kind of are using your energy. And when I talk about energy, it's, when you walk into a room and there's just been a fight in that room, or if you've walked into a meeting and that they've been discussing things, or there's been heated discussions, or there's been a lot of brain drain that's gone on in that meeting, you can feel it. And that's what energy is. It is that unseen, but you can feel it. And normally it's, when we talk about energy, I say, it's kind of like that feeling in your gut that you get, because most people can relate to that, when there is that kind of feeling you get in your gut. And that is your intuition. So going down this yoga and mindfulness path for me has really been able to open up that intuition and make me obviously a lot more comfortable with my intuition. And I know in business many years ago, if I was saying I'm intuitive, etc., people would be like, oh my God, you need to be more rational and not so intuitive. Now it's 100% the opposite. Like I'm constantly called on for my intuition. At work, because it's, how do you feel about the situation? What do you think we should do? I deal with people all day long. So intuition for me is becoming even more powerful in how I do my job and how I do my work. And, so I think it's one of those things that you can see there is consciousness rising in our world and in our business world as well. But, learning how to connect in with that intuition is done, through meditation as well, through that stillness, through sifting out all that crap and everyone else's expectations, where you're just left with yourself and connecting kind of in with your own intuition and your own gut. So that's those pieces. The other bit of energy that I do talk about, and it's so important, and it's something I still focus on, is manifestation and intentions. This is energy. So once you're kind of in tune with energy, I know a lot of other there's spiritual teachers and stuff out there talk about you're almost in a vortex, and once you're in that vortex of attraction, you kind of keep attracting what you're putting out there. And it's a vibration that you're putting out there and a vibration that you're receiving back. So the world is changing, and things that are unseen, such as frequencies and all of that type of stuff, are now becoming a little bit more mainstream than they have been. And I think that's just a sign of the times as well. So, which, I love, because obviously this is all stuff that I'm very open to and that I teach as well. And I think once you open up to energy, once you are setting intentions for what you want to, receive in your life, once you start manifesting, and once you start seeing that, once you start making sure that you are conscious of your thoughts as well, and that you are thinking positive thoughts, and you are on that path and on that frequency in the vortex, as a lot of people say, your possibilities are infinite. And this is where I think people really start to see their life changing. So from a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual side, all of that is yoga. That is why I teach it. It's why for me, I've learned a lot more off the mat than on the mat. So I do yoga teaching still. So my classes now are what I call yoga wellness classes. So it's for all fitness levels, and it really is a focus on bringing you back to your center, bringing you back down to the ground for a lot of us that spend our time in our heads. And it's a combination of yoga, very gentle yoga poses to really open up the body, but it's a lot more breathing practices as well as meditation. So that's kind of what I really focus on in my yoga classes now. I also do mindfulness classes as well, which really just focus on some mindful practices. as well as I do a lot of work in the mind, body and energy coaching space as well. So this for me obviously is my passion. So I thought I would share my own yoga journey with you as well, so that you can see where I've come from, what I've learned and what I start to teach as well in my own classes and sessions that I will be running. So I'm doing a few Facebook Live sessions as well. So it is Kate Zoukis Mind, Body, Energy on Facebook and Instagram that I put a lot of my videos onto, as well as running my Facebook Lives that I'm looking at doing some mindfulness sessions, which I'm very excited about. Just doing a few sessions so that people can join and have a 15 minutes, half an hour of some mindfulness treasure, as I like to call it. So anyway, that is it from me. So thank you for joining me, and pleasure being with you. And I hope that you are getting the most out of your journey and where you're at with your path as well. So thank you. I will see you later and have a great day. Bye.